Alright, should be live. Oh, well that title's not correct. Hold on. That is my fault. Oh, where is that? Update title. We did that last time. Let's copy that, assuming that it doesn't actually work. Yeah, I have a feeling the VODs are probably going to just be tagged with the wrong thing. Okay, well... Oh, is Twitch not working? What's wrong with Twitch? Am I not on Twitch? That's peculiar. There's always something wrong. I'm gonna turn Twitch off and turn it back on again. See, that's the tried and true IT strategy. You turn it off and you turn it back on, and usually that just kind of fixes itself. It's a little absurd to think of how realistic that is. Okay, now are we good? No? Apparently we're not good. Okay. Alright, we're good on YouTube. Apparently we're not good. Oh, there's me. I don't know. The YouTube looks fine. It looks more than fine. I don't know what Twitch's problem is. Or Twitch just thinks I'm offline, I guess. Or just like infinitely, I don't know. Is Twitch just having a problem right now? Or is it actually something that maybe I'm doing? I don't know, everything looks the same as last week. I'm not sure what to make of that. Yeah, it says it's unstable. And it keeps disconnecting. I honestly don't know what could be wrong with that. That's weird. Just wondering if it's unhappy because I changed the title midway through. I don't know, let's try turning it back on. Come on. I don't know. I think there's just something wrong with Twitch. Might have to go without Twitch today. But that's kind of strange. Oh, now it says I'm online. But I'm not. No. So like it connects for like a second and then it instantly drops. I actually have no idea what could be wrong with it, since everything else is working. Yeah, no, there's me. Shut up! I don't want to hear myself. Oh yeah, everything else is working. Twitch is the only thing that's not working, so I'm inclined to believe that something is wrong with Twitch. And that it's just not going to work. Well, that's not fun. I guess I'll just deactivate Twitch for now. And we'll see what happens. Wacky. I don't know. I don't know if they're having problems or I'm having problems. Yeah, I did a Windows update. Or, well, Windows updated without my permission, so... you can imagine how well that went. Alright, well, I'm just gonna have to send out the YouTube link, and sorry for people on Twitch, it's just not working. I'll give it one more go. But I think it's busted. Yeah, I think we're just Buster-Rooney. Okay. That is awful, but I guess that's the hand we're dealt this week. That's great. Okay. Alright. We'll just go with the YouTube. Where is me on the YouTube here? Yeah, it says I've been streaming 6 minutes on YouTube, and I think that's the entire duration so far, so... I think Twitch is the only one that's bugging out, for whatever reason. Yeah. Well, that's a shame. But I don't think there's anything I can do about it. So, we're just gonna have to roll with it. It's always something, man. Always something. Alright. I'll get the messages ready and then we can go. Where the hell is... See, Twitch is down for some reason. Sorry. What sucks, I know a lot of people still watch on Twitch. Even though it's like objectively a terrible place to watch anything. But I still like to be wherever you guys are. So it is what it is. Okay. And post. And I guess that's it. Okay. Oh, no, I missed one. Hold on. Okay. Now I think everything is posted and we can get into it. Yeah, my post was published. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Okie dokie. I guess that's it. I think we're good. Okay, I'll take off the starting soon because we are starting now. Hello and welcome everybody. So I've got more project updates. Not too much happened this week. I've been kind of taking it easy. I haven't been feeling like super great. So, but I did figure out music finally. There's part of the reason that I haven't put music into the game build yet is because I could not get music to work right. And part of the reason for that was, well, game music loops, right? You have a loop-de-loop. You start off, you have a little intro to the song, and then it gets to the body of the song, and that part's got to loop over and over and over. But I've been having a lot of trouble with that because it just doesn't seem to want to work right. It'll either be like a skip or a pause, or the two parts of the song overlap and then it's like a split second loud noise, and it's really awful. So I've kind of figured out how to fix that. I've only kind of scratched the surface on how to do that, so I'm going to show you what I did, but kind of take it with a little grain of salt. I'm sure the implementation is going to change over time. In fact, if I understand correctly how this system works, I should be able to make like a template with it and kind of like be able to make the settings the same for all music tracks. So let's see, what am I looking for here? There, okay. I'm just getting all my windows up so I can see everybody and everything. Okay, so let me cut it over to the thing here. Which one? This one? Are we working? Okay, good. We're working. Yeah, I'll just start the editor up and we'll go with it. Yeah, Windows decided to update on me, which like destroyed my entire setup. And that's also why I'm late today. It just decided to, for whatever reason, it rearranged all the webcam footage or feeds going into XSplit, and so like it like merged all of them into one for some reason. So I had to reset every single camera and the whole presentation file, and it was not fun. So I did basically, yeah, I just had to redo them, but I did save it this time. I haven't saved it in a while. I just been kind of running with whatever, I used the last session. So hopefully if that happens again, I can just load the saved file. And what are we doing? It's building. Okay, it's taking a bit here. It's got to build the editor before we want. Oh, you can't see it. I moved. It was behind the camera, I think. Well, here now you can see. It's doing its stuff. Are we good now? Are we gonna get the editor? Where's the? Is that the build tab? No, that's the debug tab. Oh, here it goes. It's going. It's just taking a minute. Today I did basically a parody, not parody, but parity check and kind of rearranged a lot of stuff. And basically what that means is just kind of the game's going to be available on Windows and Linux and Steam Deck, right? So today was basically spent making sure that all of them worked. So I haven't been on Windows in a couple weeks now, as you might have known. I moved everything to Linux, and so we're working on Ubuntu now pretty much primarily. And that's for a number of reasons. One, because Windows 11 is terrible and I don't want to switch to it, but they're discontinuing Windows 10 this year, and I thought, well, if I'm going to make the move, now's the time to do it, right? So I did do that, and it's been working out good so far, thankfully. But yeah, the parity check is to make sure that all versions of the game are working as intended, and everything's kind of like everything builds on all platforms and everything runs, and there's no like goofy noticeable stuff going on. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to turn the music that I have in the stream off because then otherwise you won't hear the music in the game. But we do have the actual music that's meant for this stage running, so that's good. And there it is. I have to turn it up a little bit. Yeah. So let's get my controller. There. So it's like an actual game. You have to You'll have to forgive the balance on the sound effects, all that. I actually have a hearing problem, so I'm not the best person to balance music and sound and stuff. I might actually have to get somebody to help me with that. But they're definitely, I can even notice that they're not really in balance right now, but that'll get fixed over time. But it's nice to finally actually hear the music in game and not have to edit it into the clips that I post. So everything's kind of working pretty good, which is nice. The builds are stable. It's running fine on Steam Deck. Everything's like really good right now. So I'm happy with where things are. Now again, we're still on the prototype, so this is all going to kind of get thrown out, so to speak. And we're going to start a fresh project file when enough of the systems are ready. And I thought that was going to be a quick process, but it really kind of wasn't. And part of that is I kind of like derailed from the initial idea on what to do and at what point we were going to, you know, migrate stuff. And I started to fix things up that were going to get migrated instead of just packaging them up as is. I decided that I was going to actually like work on those systems and fix them up in the prototype here before we move things. And part of that is also because like the level editor stuff that AJ's working on, I think that's going to be kind of the cornerstone of how well we can transition to a new project file without it just being kind of a nightmare. And by nightmare, I don't mean like, you know, anything crashing or something, but kind of like, I don't want to build any of the new levels and experiment with anything if we don't have the level editor working. Because it'll be like 10 times the amount of work to do it and then have to redo it anyway once the level editor's working. So for me, from multiple standpoints, that's kind of the big linchpin here. I think most everything else could possibly be moved over at this point. And then, because there's a lot of things that I'm kind of holding off doing in general for that reason. There's some optimizations that I can't make in the prototype without like really destroying like what's here or doing a ton of work to redo and re-implement a bunch of objects. And it's kind of a waste of time to do that if we're just gonna like abandon it and go to a new project file anyway. So that's kind of where we are at this point. But yeah, regarding parity, it's working here too. You can see I got the dev kit, so you can see. I don't know, you can't see anything because the screen's not full. You can see where it says like dev kit game on there. I got the Steam Deck dev kit, which is it's a free thing. You just download it on Steam, and it doesn't take very long to hook it up either. So I'll show it to you here. Right here. So you can just, I mean, it's already launched, but I can show you what it looks like. Or not launched, but it's already like set there. So like when you connect, and you can like take screenshots. So like I took a screenshot of, I don't even know where it's going. It goes to pictures. Okay. Let's see. Is it in there? Yeah, there it is. See, you take a screenshot of what you see. Oh, you can't see that because I went to the other camera again. Yeah, there you go. So see, here's the screenshot it took. Yeah, here you like take screenshot. Frame time capture, I think that's just like data on like frame rate over time. So like you can kind of like see where like the CPU got taxed. I'm not sure how useful that really is. I don't know how detailed these things go. But here you can, if you go to upload title, you can just upload whatever, you know, the latest build is. I mean, I'll do it again. There's nothing, I don't think anything's changed. I think it's already, yeah, it didn't find any new files to push. So, I mean, that's it. And then that makes the entry here, which I'll have to switch the camera again. That makes this entry. You can't even read that. It's blown out. Yeah. It just installs it automatically. And it works pretty good. Thing. It's there. It's got a good frame rate. I don't know how well you can see it, but it works good. And I fell in the pit because I cannot play sideways. But it's working good, and the Windows build's working. Everything's pretty good right now. I'm sure something will break hideously soon enough, and we'll be back to all that stuff. Let's see. Yeah. Let's do Burst Man. Well, you know what? I bet that's a little loud. There. Yeah, we got Avatar today on the TV. You know, it's kind of remarkable how well Avatar has held up over time, to be quite honest. It's quite the show. I know it gets like praised a lot, but like it kind of deserves it. Thanks for your work on the game. Well, thank you for showing up and checking it out with us. And how's the game coming? Oh, I missed that one. That was a few minutes ago. Well, I just been kind of showing how it's coming along. Got the music in, finally. So here's how to do that. And from what I understand, this is only an Unreal 5 feature. It's called Meta Sounds. And, well, I guess I'll have to turn the music off again because we're going to be doing sound stuff. It's a little soft, but you can probably hear it. This is the wave file for the actual music here. And you can preview that. And then here is the meta sound. So you have to get the wave file imported, and you can set some settings on it if you want, but it's not, I don't think I had to change anything in here because it was pretty much, as is. I didn't really have to do anything because it's not like a sound effect. With sound effects and stuff, you got to change some stuff, maybe change like volume things and stuff, but you didn't really have to with this. So I made a meta sound source, which is under audio and here, meta sound source. And essentially, this has way more features than every other sound thing in Unreal, which is good because I wanted to be able to do this like loop start, because once it gets to a certain point, it gets to the end of the file, you don't want it to loop all the way to the front because that's where the intro of the song is. You want it to loop to, the loop point, you want it to go seamlessly loop the body of the song to skip the intro and go back to that one point over and over and over. And I was having the darndest time this entire time trying to get that to work with the sound cue and the other stuff that made the sound player in Unreal, and it was not working. I was getting gaps, I was getting overlaps, I was getting pops, I was getting just silence. It was not good. And I was getting really frustrated with that because I would look up, how do you properly loop music in Unreal? And I swear to God, I watched like 20 tutorials and they were all wrong. They were all they would be like, oh, just go into the waveform here and clip looping. Yeah, that's great, except it loops the entire file. It starts all the way from the beginning again. But that's not what I want. I want to go to a certain point in the music track. I want to loop back to a certain point. And nobody was talking about it. Everybody was like, oh, you just click. Yeah, okay, well, that doesn't work. Thank you. 20 different. I'm still mad about it. So finally, I got the correct answer. I had to just go start asking people directly, and I found someone who actually knew how to do this. So with Metasounds, you can play a wave, and it just has the built-in loop start and loop duration. So in this case, for the Mercury theme, the loop point is at 7 seconds and 200 milliseconds. So that's 7.2 seconds. So I made a variable called loop point, and I just typed in 7.2, and then the loop duration, which would be, because you could start and stop in the middle if you wanted to. You know, you don't have to do it from one point to the end, but I did have to calculate that. So I had to get the length, the duration in seconds of the entire music track, and then subtract the loop point to shave off, you know, the part that we're starting in and from, and then send that to loop duration. And that's it. That's all I had to do. And this just works. Oh, I guess I had to click looping too. And this just works. So like you can preview it here. And it's got neat little charts and graphs on the side here. I'm sure they're useful for people who understand this, but it just looks cool to me. Just the things are moving. I don't know. It's fine. So everything's working good with it now. Now I have a bit of a hearing impairment, so if there is any like pauses or gapping or whatever, I'm not hearing it. I'm definitely gonna have to send it to our music guy Maxi and be like, hey, test this build. Does it sound like it whoops correctly? Because if it doesn't, I'll have to fix it somehow. But so far, it sounds like it's good. So, I've seen now a couple people do use this kind of setup for their stuff. So I think we finally fixed some of the audio in Unreal, which is really good. And I'm just really happy that it's just working. So I guess Metasounds, again, is something new, something only in Unreal 5. From what I understand, I don't do much audio stuff. Again, hearing impairment, it's not my field. So, but from what I understand, this is kind of their new audio thing, and supposedly it's really good. And a lot of people are hyping it up as kind of like, yeah, we don't need to use like these other plugins now. Like this might actually just do everything we need it to do. So I'm sure you could do 100 million wonderful 3D calculations in space and volume manipulations and all that, but I don't need that. I just need music to work. Thank you. I use UE4 and I don't have the option. Yeah, so it must be a UE5 thing only. I'm gonna learn more about it in the coming weeks, so I'll be able to kind of relay more info about it and how it might be improved. Because the one thing that I saw somebody was talking about is that you can make like a template out of this. And that's the other reason that I have these variables here. Like I could just say, go in here and say, oh yeah, I want to select the Mercury music and you know, play it through there. But the goal here, because you know, there's some, you know, I got some goofy nodes and stuff going on here. I don't want to have to copy and paste this 50 times for every like song in a game, right? I want to make this like an automated process. So from what I understand, you make these variables here and you can actually somehow like manipulate these from the outside. Let me pull this in here. Because see, it's defaulted to the data for this specific track. But I from what I understand, you can make like a template with this and then you reference the variables and you change them. I have not been successful in doing that yet, but like I said, I still got a lot to learn about how Metasounds works and all that stuff. But I think the ideal situation here is to just, before you start the sound or as you start the sound, you can replace the data there when you do the call and say, hey, with this music track and this loop point, we're going to play it through the template. We're going to set that data and then tell it to play. That would be the ideal thing here. because then I wouldn't have to, again, copy and paste all this stuff like 50 times for every track in the game. And heaven forbid it changes. And then I have to go back and fix 50 of them. You don't want to do that. So, yeah, that's going to be my goal, to get it to do that. And if I can get it to do that, then I can show you guys how it worked. I guess there's a couple more. And that's all out. So there's so much data. Like, you get loop ratio, playback location. So you can get data out, from what I understand too. See, there's outputs. Like, you can get other stuff. You can get like a float output and like say, oh, here's the playback location. And like, you can get that data going out. So I don't know exactly how all that works, but I will eventually have to find out. And when I do, then I'll let you guys know. But this seems to work very good. And I'm very happy about that. What did I change in here? Did I change something in here? I don't think I did, but it says I did. Whatever. Save it. It's fine. Make sure I didn't goof something up. No, I hear it. It's still good. Whee! Okay. So now I want to do two things. One, oh yeah, before I get to that, I'll show you. I just put in, this is just kind of like here for the moment. This is in the level blueprint. I just made a reference to the meta sound, and I just selected the thing, and it plays like anything else, just spawn 2D sound. It plays exactly like whether you had a wave file or a sound cue or whatever, it accepts this. So, which actually, it says it's a sound base reference, right? And I made this specifically a meta sound source. I could make this a sound base, and then you could just use anything with it, which is what I really, what I would really want to do here. Yeah, are we good? It's still doing its thing. Do I have to wait till this is done? It already did the one that it needs to do. Well, anyway, oh yeah, no, it's a sound base now. Because with a sound base, you can select anything. You can select the wave file, you can select a sound cue, or you can select a meta sound. And maybe there's other options, but I don't know what they are. So you could just make a field sound base, and then that covers everything, and it just works. You just feed it in, and away it goes. So yeah, meta sounds seems really good, and it did fix my problem where nothing else would. So I'm happy about that. I guess other projects, especially in UE4, use something like WWise or something. But that's like that's a big boy app. That's for big teams and where you need lots of control over sound and you're doing some AAA crap. I don't have a budget, so we're not doing that. So thankfully, MetaSound's got us covered here, and that's it. It's just from on begin play. I mean, I've got a couple other things here to like. What is this? This is. Oh, that's the level sequence thing. Yeah, that's the crusher. I think. Yeah, hold on. Down here. The 4 that comes up and down. I think that's what that's for. I used to just have it like as an object down here. And it used to be like just like parented to a like a level sequencer. But I was having problems with it because I think I needed it to like stop when it was paused or whatever. Either way, it works now. It's fine. Yeah, down here. Yeah, this is where I'm setting its time scale in my custom time system. I'll have to figure out a better solution to that, but we're not talking about that right now. But that's it. Just this, and I store the reference to the audio player that gets created I don't do anything with it yet, but I'm sure it'll come in handy at some point. And yeah, that's it. It just plays like any other sound. Very easy to set up and do and whatever. So I just have to figure out a more advanced way of setting that up. So what I want to do now is I don't have, how do I want to put it? I don't have, I don't want to hear the music all the time while I'm developing. We'll put it that way. I don't have any way to shut this off, but I want to do it in an intelligent way, right? I don't want to do this. Well, it's going to be kind of slapdash, but something that's really easy for me to configure so that I can turn it off in the editor, but it won't affect the runtime stuff. So it'll play normally as is in release builds or shipping builds, as you call them in Unreal. So I think I know the easiest way to probably do this once it saves is to add a shared value here. Let's see. I'm looking for miscellaneous, right? Yeah. And then data asset. And I guess we'll do a shared boolean. Now this is something I made. It's not something in Unreal normally. It's called allow BGM, allow background music. And it's going to be true under, its default value is going to be true, but I'm going to use an editor override of not true so that it won't play in the editor, but it will play in a release build. And then we just add branch bool shared. Do we got one of those? Branch shared, get value or default. Yeah, I think that's the one we want. And then allow BGM is the shared boolean we want. And I guess we'll default to true if it can't find it. Oh no, you know what? This is not the one that I want. I want this one. Because this one's just whether or not the value exists. Because, if your reference gets lost or something, or it's like set to none, then it would be, you would just get the default value. I hate when that happens. Shut up. Get out of here. But this one's an actual Boolean branch made for specifically these shared bools. So the true or false here, and then the default will be true. So if it's true, then we'll do the music. And if it's false, then we won't. So I'm going to set it to its default and I'm going to undo the editor override. So it should be reading this true value and it should play. It did not. Excuse me? What happened? Runtime value is off. Value on disk is there. That's strange. Is it because I didn't save it? Do I have to save it first? I don't hear anything. That's great. Did my system break? It should be set to true as the runtime value, but it's not doing it, and I'm not sure why. Okay, so if I manually set the runtime value, will it work? This is great. I love when things don't work. Yeah, okay. Well, that works. And then if I set the editor override, which should be false, because that's not checked, then it shouldn't work. Okay. At least that works. And then this should work. Okay. I'm actually not sure why this is bugging out here. I don't know. Because what it should be doing is, where are they? My Unreal Engine Plus plugin. Okay. So So shared value, shared bool. Legendary fan-made masterpiece. Oh, I appreciate that. You can say that when it's out, right? It's not out yet, but one day it will be. We'll definitely have some kind of demo at some point, but the whole spine surgery thing kind of threw all that out of whack. We were attempting to get a build for the Sage fan game expo thing, but apparently we didn't qualify for that. So that wasn't going to happen anyway. But then the whole spine surgery thing happened, so that was definitely not going to happen at that point. Okay, reset the value on disk, where the runtime value becomes the value on disk, should get called during initialize, which it does. So why isn't it working? Right, and this is the override from here. Called after the asset is loaded for disk or when the editor, play-in editor is started. Yeah, that's definitely where it should be. What's the default for this? Oh, it's nothing. It's a blank. And that makes sense. That's fine. Okay, so like, is this running? I guess we'll put a breakpoint there and find out, right? I'm gonna turn off the runtime value here, uncheck it manually, because it should just take over. Okay, so and we want to step into it. Excuse me? Oh, I went over it. I didn't go in. But then the runtime value, I don't know if I can check it here. It's false. Okay, hold on. I'll have to do this again. Oh, there's multiple of them. I don't know which one's the one we're looking at. Well, I mean, I guess all of them should... Or is it getting skipped for some reason? I don't know. Hold on. Let's do that again. Yeah, because... Yeah, why is the execution arrow here? It should be up here. Was it getting like... Oh, because it's inline? Why is it inline? It should be inline. Why is this inline? Oh, because it's all in one file. I think that's why I can't debug it. But I have a potential solution to that. So, hold on. When it's inline, sometimes the debugger doesn't quite catch up or catch it. But if I take this out, right? You see these other ones don't have it. If I do force inline debuggable, that I think is what's going to allow it to get debugged. So I'm going to turn the editor off when we do this compile for two reasons. One, because I'm compiling a header file and it's probably going to recompile this plugin, which is going to recompile basically every plugin in the project because they all rely on this one for the most part. So Unreal doesn't take too kindly to doing something like that on the fly. So it's better to turn the editor off and then do it. And the other reason is when it does that, when it does recompile every plugin, it has to hot load every module from every plugin that gets recompiled. And it takes forever for the editor to do that. So we're just going to turn it off and let it. Well, is it done? There's no way. There's no way that I'm going to force it to rebuild. I do not believe it, that it had nothing to do. This will take a minute, but it's all right. So, let's see. What else did I do this week? Most of it was just kind of fiddling with Linux and doing that parity stuff and the music. Oh, I fixed another bug too. I was getting a bug where I was adding an event to a delegate that was I'd added it twice. It wasn't getting removed before it was added again, and I fixed that. That was in the audio. Where was it? Sound effect player. Yeah, it was when it was despawning. Yeah, is this the right one? This doesn't look right, does it? Oh, no, I think it is, because it's got the time controller. There's a play sound effect. Where was it? Maybe this isn't the right one. Oh, sound effect instance. This is it. Sound effect instance. So when I did on despawn, it's not here now, but I was setting time controller or time source. I was setting that to null pointer before I went through the code that's supposed to remove the actual event. So it was like, oh, what? Time source is not valid. We're getting out of here. And yeah, that didn't work. So removing that makes this work now because it needs a valid time source reference to undo all the goofy stuff. So that's fine. YouTube only? Yeah, I don't know why, but I can't get Twitch to connect. Like it connects for like a second and it just stops. It like crashes or something and it just doesn't work. I have no idea why. YouTube and Facebook are working fine, so I just figure it's something wrong with Twitch. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I shouldn't have changed since last week. And last week it worked fine, so I honestly don't know. We can try it again just to see for funsies. Let's turn Twitch on and watch it not work. Or watch it work now that I said that it wouldn't work. Okay, sending data, streaming, but I don't see it. Yeah, no, it's doing the same thing again. It streams for like 1 millisecond and then it just completely crashes. And it goes back to offline. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of pissing me off, but I want to say that it's not something that I did. I feel like something's broken somewhere. So I don't know. What I probably want to do is sometime this coming week is do a test stream to see if oh, now it says I'm connected, but I guess not. Yeah, I don't know. I got to do a test stream this week, hopefully, and try to iron out some bugs to see if hopefully it's not just me. And I think I can also do like a schedule thing in advance for like the YouTube where it's like, oh, upcoming, that would be nice. But I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Twitch just, it goes on for like literally like a quarter of a second and it just goes back to offline. And then Twitch says that like the feed is unstable, which is weird because it worked last week with the same settings and yeah, I don't see anything different. So I don't know. It's goofy. Watch it be something that I did, but I don't know. I'm I don't know nothing, all right? I don't know nothing at all. I don't know what I'm doing. Help. Send help. Okay, I think it rebuilt here. What did we wanted the shared bool wasn't working. Well, now we made it debuggable. So we should be able to see what happens. I'm going to load the editor first and then we'll do the breakpoint and then see what's going on. It's just kind of goofy that it's not working. Twitch don't want to work. My shared boolean doesn't want to work. Nothing's working. All right, I'm getting problems from every corner. All right, here we go. Oh, while that is loading too, you may have noticed that my plugins look a little different here. Basically what I did is I said, okay, instead of like loading plugins into the editor, I'm going to explicitly put all the plugins in the project file. And so I made a new folder, which is not completely new. There were some of these that I had to put in there for various reasons manually. But I put all the third-party stuff that I use, I just put them in a folder called third-party. And it picked it right up. Ryder knew where they were, and it picked them up and compiled them, and that was fine. Just to keep them separate from all the plugins that I'm making. But the other thing, too, I think it's a good way to do it. Because, like, now PaperZD may never change. You know, that plugin's pretty old at this point. And maybe it'll change, maybe it won't, maybe they'll update it with something, you know, other than just, check to see if it works in a new version or not. But let's say it does change, right? And in my Unreal editor, I've loaded from the marketplace the old PaperZD plugin. But say I got a collaborator who has the new one, and now we're both working on the same project, but he got the new one and I got the old one. And that's asking for goofy, funny business, because maybe it'll make an asset that works in his version on his side, that he saves it back to the server, and I open it up and maybe it crashes or it gets re-imported and it gets stripped out. Some of the data gets stripped out or something goofy like that. So I said, you know what? Probably the best idea here, all the plugins that we need, we're going to literally put them in the project. So if this updates, we will update it in the project, and everybody who downloads that version of the source code will have the same plugin. All the changes will be the same. And there's some here like Graph Printer, which doesn't really do anything. Like, it just takes a screenshot basically for you. It's a handy little tool, but it doesn't do anything to the game itself. And same thing like with auto size comments and actor locker and stuff. These are just little helpful things for the editor. But if you put them all in here, you kind of guarantee that everybody's working on the same thing. And you also kind of have a good idea of, well, what are all the plugins? I mean, you can go in here and look at it from here to see what everything is for the main module. But it's really nice to be able to just see everything here and reference the source code right here. And then you guarantee that everybody's got the same plugin version, they're working on the same thing, and we're all on the same page. And it should all be forced to compile from here. So if something's wrong, we'll know right away and we'll be able to adjust it. Like this refresh all nodes, I actually made some changes to this so that it could do more stuff. And that's cool and that's great. But if you don't have that specific version of refresh all nodes, you're not going to have the extra functionality. So I stuck it right in here and I said, everybody just, it will just load from here. And everybody who got the source code is going to have that in there included. And I think that's kind of the smart way to do it. And then everything's all here. So you don't have to worry about, oh, Tim didn't install Actor Locker. And it's kind of one of those things where like, well, Tim doesn't really need it maybe. You know, or maybe he doesn't use Graph Printer or whatever. But the project relies on it, so you have to have it in there. Well, now we don't have to worry about what Tim has installed in his editor for plugins. They're just all right here and ready to go. So I think that's kind of the smart way to do this. Maybe there's a better way to do it. I don't know. But after considering a couple different options, I think this was the best way to go about it. Oh, yeah, and you know what? For the most part, you can just not. Where is it here? You could just not include the binaries or especially not the intermediate in your version control because that stuff changes all the time and it can get quite big. But there is one plugin where you don't want to do that, and that is PaperZD. I apparently maybe I've done something wrong, but it does not build properly without that in there. So if I try to rebuild all this stuff, it gave me a lot of errors. So I don't know if it's referencing like some private libraries or something special that they had or some special configuration that needs to be. So include the binaries with PaperZD if you're going to do it this way. But you don't need to include the intermediate though. So that's just that might save you a headache. Just take that. My expenses now become your boon here. Okay, so now, right, we're going to breakpoint on here, and hopefully it works this time. And no, it skipped it again. Now, why is that? So much for force inline debuggable. It ain't debuggable. It skipped it. It went right down here. Because what I want to do is go inside here, right? Because this is gonna. Oh, that it didn't even work anyway. All right, can we do it from inside here? No, not at all. That's wonderful. Now, why is that? That seems kind of strange, doesn't it? Why isn't that debuggable? Is force inline debuggable? Which I think all this does. Force inline debuggable. Force inline debuggable. I think honestly, all this does is, how am I gonna put it? When you are doing a build like debug game editor or development, this it actually doesn't inline it. Like it's like it's set to not inline. And then when you do a shipping build, then it actually this macro becomes an inline command, and then it should inline. But it's kind of acting like it's inlining already, which is strange. Because this one's also force inline debuggable. I'm not really sure. Is it just skipping it? It kind of feels like it's just skipping it. For some reason. I don't know. I've never seen it misbehave like this before. Oh, that's great. Everything's broke. So what else is new? Well, either way, for now, I guess I'll just check mark this to make sure it is the value that I'm expecting it to be. So we're going to say in the editor, our editor override value is going to be false, not true, but normally it's going to be true. So effectively, yeah, that should be the word. Effectively, it's configured in a way that in the editor, it will be false and it will not play this. It'll go down the false path, which is nothing. And then if it's true, then it's going to play it. So it should only play in release builds now. So let's double check that that's true. Yeah, no music. But then if I make a shipping build, let's see where that's going. Shipping, okay. And then that's going to build it. Let me get Let me get to the actual thing here. Builds. Linux. Still building. It's going to go into here when it's done. This was just a build we made earlier today. Okay, project completed. So now this should play the music. And it does. That's what we want. Yay, okay. Yay, oh that's right, I have a controller. I don't know why I'm using the keyboard. Yeah, whee! I think we can disable the 60 FPS. Yeah, we can get 240 FPS. Now you can't see the 240 FPS. I can only stream at 60 FPS, right? So it looks smooth for me, but I have no idea what it looks like for you guys. Probably just still looks like 60 FPS. Yeah. Whee! Okay. But we confirmed it works. So, yeah, there we go. And then I can push that to the Steam Deck as you saw as well. I'm not going to bother doing that right now. It's kind of not a waste of time necessarily, but there's no reason to bother showing it again. So, yeah, pew pew. Yeah, so that works. It's just a quick and dirty way to be able to say, yeah, I don't feel like listening to music right now. Because when I'm doing dev work, I'm going to be turning it on, testing something, and turning it off, and I'm just going to keep hearing the music start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. So we're not going to bother doing that. Let's, here, let's put the music back on. Since we're not going to have that showing up anymore. There we go. And that's pretty much it for that. I'm really curious as to why that stupid Boolean thing's not working though. That's making me mad. Whee. Mega Man can't be hurt yet. I mean, technically he takes damage, but doesn't he doesn't react to it. Oh yeah. Whoops. Well, that's not good. Well, let's warp out of there. I was gonna say because I mentioned it before about adding a time controller to the stage. What do they call it? What's it called? Level sequence. And the reason I needed to do that is because it wasn't stopping when I paused, but now it is stopping when I pause. See? I could also slow down time for it too if I needed to. So it's all hooked into that. I gotta find a better, more automated way to do it, but for now it does its job. So yeah, overall, it is working fine. I guess the other thing I'd like to do, and boy, I don't even know if I've got the resources to do it, but we'll check quick. Because this is a big request that I get a lot. Can we do a system where you can choose the original soundtrack of the game? The Game Boy soundtrack, right? Because we did the silly thing and we put the Game Boy filter in. So people are like, okay, so how about the Game Boy music, right? Can you put the Game Boy music in so we can play the silly Game Boy diarrhea filter with the original music? And I'm like, yeah, it's probably doable. So I guess we could try to do something like that. I think probably the best way to accomplish that might be have a data asset that holds a weak reference to both the music tracks, and then depending on what the setting is, your configuration, your options setting, it will pull a different track for the soundtrack. So then what I want to do then, excuse me. Dinner's coming back for its revenge. I think we should do two things. I knew I'm going to need a container to hold the music reference and some additional data. And then we will make a second data asset that will hold two references to that data asset, if that makes sense. So, yeah, let's just do that. Hello, cookie, click. How come we don't got... There's my windows. Thank you. Don't fail me now, Linux. I've got enough problems. Okay, so for my Audio Plus plugin, let's just add a new class, and is data asset in here? Should be. View data asset, yeah. Okay, so music config. The other one's sound effect config, so music config seems to be fine. We'll call it music config base, right? No, I think we'll just call it music config, because this one's just sound config, and then there's sound config, sound base, and random and composite. Composite, I use more of the Unity definition of composite here. So when you have in Unity, you would have a collider. A composite collider means it's made up of more than one collider is being combined into one thing. So I took that kind of definition here to say that a sound effect config composite is a sound effect config that contains other sound effect configs. And so you could say, oh, when this happens, I want these three sound effects or these two sound effects to play. And instead of having to set up two calls to two sound effects, I made that composite thing to make it easy to be, okay, I just make one asset, add those two or three in, and call it a day. And I call the composite, and it will automatically add those additional ones. So yeah, let's say music config will be the base class for this. And it's probably not gonna have much to it. Unity. I was just talking about Unity. Unreal Engine plus Core. That's my own thing, because we have a primary data asset plus. And that's what gives me the extra functionality. That initialize function was something that I created. Let's see, and this is abstract, so we can't make one of these. And put the little plugin kind of domain name in there. So that initialize function is one of the key things that I added in this data asset plus thing here, because I noticed that once it loads the data asset, it will not reload the data when you go into the plugin editor. So I hooked it up to a callback so that it will actually go through this initialize every time that the plugin editor is done, and then it will also deinitialize when the plugin editor ends. So that to me has been very helpful, because I come from the Unity world, and in Unity there's the there's a wake, which would be post load, would be the sort of equivalent to that. Awake would be post load. But then there was, what was it now? There was another function. I don't know if it was awake or maybe a different one. But for scriptable objects, when you press play, there was a function that would actually, it was on enable. That's what it was. On enable was the function that would call every time that you would go through the pressing play for the preview in the editor. And Unreal did not have something like that. This post load only happens the first time that it gets literally loaded at any time in the editor or through, a play session. But then it'll never call again, even if you continue to do play and editor sessions. So I built this to kind of mimic that on enable behavior that Unity scriptable objects had. And for the most part, it works good. I have a feeling that it probably wouldn't be very good for a multiplayer game. Because it may go through this initialize multiple times. If you're playing with 2 players at the same time in the editor, it probably would malfunction. But since I'm not playing a multiplayer game, I guess I haven't run into it yet. So if you feel like doing something like that, yeah, just be careful. I'm not sure it would be compatible with testing multiplayer in the editor. Let's put it that way. And then here, these are just here. I hooked into begin play in editor and cancel play in editor. And that's it. So when that happens, it just calls the initialize and deinitialize. And then post load will also call the initialize. And then begin destroy will also call the deinitialize, which at this point probably is superfluous. You probably really don't need to do whatever you're gonna do here, but just on the off chance that I needed it, there it is. Anyway, side tangent aside, I just closed the file that I was gonna work in here. So let's see. What do we actually need to include here? So let's look at the sound effect config that I made before. Oh, that would be helpful. Yeah, the type. We don't know. There's not going to be any other ones right now. We're just going to have one that's a sound base. We'll call this music config type. And this is just an easy way. I did this with the sound effect one. In the constructor, I just set what type is this supposed to be. Instead of like trying to cast it and test it and see if it fails or not, I could just ask it, what do you think you're supposed to be? And then I could cast it based on that. Because then the sound base one has the sound base enum as its config type, and it's in the constructor, so it's always going to be there. Yeah, boy, it's coding time. Yeah. We're going to try to make it so that you can select between 2 different soundtracks. That's our current mission right now. Oh, I'm going to just copy all of this, I think, and put it in here. So this is protected. And we made a different enum type, so we're gonna do that. And that should be safe. To easily tell what type this will end up being, each inherited form will get a new type. Okay, that's fair. And then we need to make an explicit constructor to set this. And this one's going to be unspecified because we should not be using this. This is an abstract class. We do not want to actually make a file that is based on this. We want to use an inherited one. I think this has to be public for this. Did I do that for that? I did. Okay. So we've got the config type. We have a public function to retrieve the config type if we ever need to. I made it blueprint callable. I don't know if I'll ever need to know that in blueprints, but you know, it's always good to have more data than that, right? Okay, transient, visible everywhere. That looks okay. It is being set. I think that's all we're gonna have to do for this here. I'm gonna eventually add more options that'll be like, oh, you can adjust the volume, or you could adjust the loop. Oh, that's one thing, the loop point. Should I put it in here or put it in the one it's gonna inherit from? What do I do for sound config? Sound config's got everything, okay. Okay, I guess I'll follow my example, my own example, and say, well, protected. We don't want this to be editable at editor time. We don't want it to be blueprint readable. What did I do again in here? Edit anywhere, that was it. Okay, and then the other stuff's just like edit conditions. Okay, so if you make it protected and edit anywhere, then let's see, loop point. If you make it edit anywhere but protected, you can edit it in all the editor, like windows and stuff, like here, but you won't be able to change it at runtime, which is what we want in this case. There really is no use case for creating one of these during runtime. This should be an asset that you have created at editor time configured, and it's not going to change. There's no reason to change the loop point or anything like that. So that should be good. If more than 2 music types are considered, either CD or advanced should be the third type. I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, something like a Game Boy Advance sound. Oh man, Game Boy, people don't remember, but Game Boy Advance had awful sound. It was so scratchy and fuzzy, man. Game Boy Advance had really bad audio. You compare any game that was on the Super Nintendo that got ported to Game Boy Advance, listen to the soundtrack side by side, I swear you'll go nuts. It's so bad. But either way, the soundtrack, the normal soundtrack that's going to be in this game, I guess you could describe it as CD. So my instructions to Maxi were basically like, we're doing something that's kind of sort of like Super Nintendo, right? Because obviously it's based on Mega Man 7, but we're going to use like arcade sprites and convert them down to Mega Man 7 resolution. So it's going to be pretty enhanced in that way. So I said we could kind of go 2 routes. We could do the Super Nintendo sound, or we could do like one of those cross-generational things where Mega Man X3, well, it's a little complicated, but X3, let's say in Japan, Rockman X3 came out on the Super Nintendo, but like 5 months later, it came out on the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn, and it had a different soundtrack. It had CD quality audio. So it was a Super Nintendo game, but it was kind of like enhanced and amped up with they had some FMVs in it, and they had the remix soundtrack, and that was really cool. So I told him the project's probably going to end up being kind of in that sort of territory. So if you want to go ahead and just go balls to the wall and don't worry about limitations, then we can try that. And that's what he did. It's basically so. And I quite like the result of it. So there's no real plans to create an alternative soundtrack. It will just have the remake soundtrack. But I think it makes a lot of sense to offer the original Game Boy soundtrack, because it's not something we're creating. It's just that's what simply existed in the original game. So it's kind of like a little bonus. We don't have to do much. We just gotta copy it in and call it a day kind of thing. So we're not planning to offer like multiple soundtracks that we have to make. It's just kind of, this is the remake, this is the soundtrack that comes with the remake, and that's it. You know, you can maybe unlock the original music from the Game Boy, but it's not going to have like, we're not going to create multiple soundtracks. That makes sense. You like Mega Man Bass's Game Boy Advance soundtrack over the Super Famicom one? You really are the weird person. I cannot stand the Game Boy Advance version of that soundtrack. That kills me. Even though I have the game somewhere. I don't know if it's right here or not. No. I don't know. I've got the Game Boy Advance game somewhere. I own it, I bought it, but man, I will always play the Super Nintendo version over that one. Even though they made it in English and all that, I can't do it. I can't stand it. Also, the screen crunch is crazy. Like, they cut it so much that you can barely see the ground in most of the levels. It's not good, because the Game Boy Advance had a smaller screen than the Super Nintendo resolution. And I know it's the only port we had for a very long time, but man, I always say just go play the Super Nintendo one if you can get it. The Game Boy Advance sound situation is because it's done through the CPU, as it only has a Game Boy sound chip, which isn't very good. Some games have good music and visuals, Castlevania, Mario, Luigi. Yeah, and others had to sacrifice music. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I didn't know that. That also explains they must have been using the Game Boy chip too, because like Harmony of Dissonance, right? You can hear they're using like those chiptune sounds in there. I wonder if they're kind of offloading some of the music to the Game Boy chip and getting like the square waves and the triangles and stuff like that. And then they didn't do so much. Maybe they used the CPU power for other stuff, and they didn't really do much with the music in that one. That's crazy. I wonder if it was a cost-cutting measure or something. It's kind of weird to do that, isn't it? Games like Duke Nukem had no music during the game. They had music when paused. Oh, right, because it was eating the processor alive, just trying to render it, probably? Yeah, that makes sense. That's funny, that makes sense. Well, speaking of that, the Castlevania Advance Collection that they released, they actually clean up the audio for those games, and they sound pretty good. I also noticed that the Mega Man Zero collection on the DS, not the new one, I'm assuming the new one does this too, but on the DS, they also clean the audio up. And I wonder if that's because like there's more processing power they can push through at that point. You know, because it's running on a DS, which is like at least twice as powerful. It's got to be. So they had more throughput to have like cleaner audio. I'm just taking a kind of a uneducated guess, I guess there. I'm not talking necessarily about the composition of Harmony of Dissonance, but they relied heavily on what just sounded like square waves and stuff, like old chiptune stuff. So I wonder if that has like what you said to do with the CPU. Maybe they're using the CPU for a lot of stuff, and maybe they offloaded a lot of the musical stuff to that Game Boy chip instead of clogging up the CPU with it. Yeah, they didn't have to compress the samples. Yeah, so they can make it clean in the Advanced Collection. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I'll be honest, that's the only reason I bought that collection. That was a single thing that got me. I was like, oh, they fixed the audio? Okay, we're buying we're buying it. I need that because every time I play it, I mean, I've got, oh, you can't see it from here. It's behind the TV. I have the Game Boy player to play Game Boy Advance on the TV, but of course, surely it comes with the original audio of those Game Boy Advance games. So I definitely, for Mega Man Zero and also for the Castlevania games, I'll always play them on the collection to have that clean audio. It kills me every time I hear that super compressed audio. But yeah, anyway, I think this is all we need for this file. This is just going to be a base file, and then I'll have derivative ones. I don't know if I'm going to need multiple derivatives of music config, but I'm just planning for the future and just going to assume that I will need multiple ones. Because maybe I need a random one or something. That's what this one, that's a random call. It's got got an array of different sound effect calls, and you just get a random one. And you just make that an asset so you don't have to like program it in blueprints every time you want to do it. Yeah, so loop point's the only piece of data that I see necessary here. Yeah, I think that's it. At least for now. You could get into like pitch changes and stuff, but I can add that off stream. That's not super interesting. Oh, excuse me. So let's add the next one then. Okay, so this one's gonna be music config sound base because that's the file type or the data type that we're doing. And this will pull from music config. So it inherits all that. I'm gonna do public. No, please make definition would be nice. Or do I have to do this? And then, we'll just do it this way first. Config type is going to be sound base. And let's move this out. Okay, IntelliSense is just completely borked. That's great. Now let me rename it before I get too far here. When it comes to the Adventure Collection, I think they changed the ROM to use music from outside the ROM and make a BIOS replacement points to that. I believe that's true too. I think that's true. Because I remember looking at the files and like just finding, I think, recordings of the soundtrack or something. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one, but I think I remember that being the case. So, which makes a lot of sense in that regard. Let's see, did I have to do anything goofy here? No, I gave it a display name, but I think that's it. Yeah. Abstract, oh, blueprintable and blueprint type. Yeah, that would be nice to have. That would be good. I like to put display names on everything to make it a little more cohesive. So, music config base. Because you want to be able to use this as a parameter in blueprints, but you don't want to be able to create it, so we'll make that abstract. And then here, this should only need a display name, which is music config sound base type. Okay, has it caught up yet? Can we can't push it out of scope. Okay. I don't know why Ryder has been doing this more and more lately. It just has not been allowing me to has not been allowing me to just like get context things and be like, oh, just create the definition for me, please. Thank you. Okay, so protected, we're going to have a U property that is edit anywhere, and that's it. T object pointer going to be a U sound base, and that will let us use any kind of sound format, and let's call it sound base, I guess. And then we want a public U function, no, a blueprint callable, pure. I guess that's all it needs. And then get sound base. Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you, autofill. And then return sound base. Would be nice. Why doesn't it like that? What's wrong with return sound base? Okay, I think this is a fake error. Whenever it's like, oh, you can't convert T object pointer to the pointer, I think it just needs to include sound base wherever that comes from. I did it in this other file. We'll just look at what I did here. Not that one. This one. Oh, I didn't. I had core minimal sound effect config, which audio plus common types, which I don't think. No, I don't think it has anything to do with that. What is that for? Concurrency type. We don't need that for music. Got the RNG plus. Yeah, actually, I'm not sure why it's complaining about this. You should be able to convert an object pointer to. Well, let's always fill in thing here. So use sound base, get sound base, const return sound base. Cannot convert const use sound. Oh, I know why. I don't need to put the pointer there because this is already a pointer. Okay, no, that was me. That was just me being dumb. But sometimes you do get weird conversions like that where you need to include the header file for it because it just doesn't know what to do with it yet. But no, that was totally on me. That was goofy. I put the pointer in here as if it was like an array definition or something. But it's implicit here. This makes the pointer, so you just only need to supply the type. Yeah, so that works. Hey, I've been quietly looking at your streams and I gotta say keep up the good work. I have a question, and thank you by the way. When it comes to the music, which way are you leaning towards? Like, which instruments do you prefer in the game? I leave that up to Maxi. I just say, hey Maxi, I need a soundtrack. You want to do a soundtrack? He's like, okay, cool. And then we just talk a little bit about what we want. You know, or I guess I tell him what I think, you know, it should be like, or a couple ideas, what I was thinking, and then he just goes and does it. And in this case, I gave him the option. I said, you know, like Mega Man X3 was on PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and Super Nintendo. And when they put it on the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation, they made like a CD quality remix soundtrack for it. And so this game is probably going to feel like it kind of blurs the lines between those two consoles in much way like X3 did. And I said, if you want to go that route, that could be interesting. And so that's pretty much what he ended up doing. Oh yeah, Maxi is super good. He's man, he's had his hand in so many cookie jars now. There was I don't remember what the name of it. There was some new Sonic fan game that had like a trailer or something recently, and he did some of the music for that. And I think he did some of the music in that Sonic Racing fan game too. I don't keep up too much with the Sonic stuff, but I think he posted something about it. on Twitter or something, and it's all good. I mean, Maxie's damn good, so I'm very happy to have him on because I don't know music. I mean, I even have like a hearing problem, like a legit actual like hearing impairment. Music's not my thing, audio's not my thing, and I can't think of anybody better to do the soundtrack for this. And you know, Maxie worked with me before to do music for Pocket Fighter EX, and he took a very different approach on that one, and that's fine. I mean, this is a completely different project, so I just kind of left it up to him. I gave him a couple options, you know, what we could do, and just, you know, he's like, all right, and he comes back, and I like the result, we'll put it that way. You know a little bit about music? Well, you probably know a lot more than I do. I like music, but I couldn't tell you how to create it. I don't know how to play an instrument or anything. I tried to learn a little bit how to play keyboard, like a piano, but it just quickly realized it was not my thing. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I envy composers because I just cannot understand how all that works. I cannot stick to a beat. I don't know how to be consistent with tempos. I don't know all the lingo. I don't know any of that. But that's okay. I think it's very rare to have you think of like, what was the game? Cave Story. But the guy did everything. He did the music, he did the graphics, he did the programming, and that's actually exceedingly rare. To be honest, usually you get people that are specialized in certain things and then you collaborate, because I can't do music, but I can do programming and for the most part. You know, I can game design and direct and stuff, but you know, I can draw some art, but I'm not great at it. So I can do some stuff, but I do need help with that. So it is what it is. My brother's good with the keyboard. I'm a drummer. Here's some Mark D. Wizlore. I worked at Activision when they made, was it Rock Band? Yeah, that was the original, right? And then Harmonix went off to make their own thing. Guitar Hero was the original. That's what Activision owned. That's what I worked on. And then Rock Band was the Harmonix. They're like, oh, we don't have the license for the name, so we're just going to make a different one and call it something different. But I worked on Guitar Hero, the World Tour one with the drum kit, and they had me doing that, and I could not do it. I look and I'm like, I'm hitting it. When the things are coming to the line, I couldn't do it. It was so funny. They actually had me do the easiest one. No one wanted to play the easiest mode, and they had me playing the easiest mode where you could hit any of the drum pads or the foot pedal. I don't know what they call it, the kick or something. And you could hit any of them and they all counted, and it was super lenient. They put me on that because I just couldn't do it. I'm not a music inclined, man. I couldn't do it. I did okay with the guitar one though. I don't know what the difficulty modes were, but I got good enough by the end of the project to do like the maybe 2 from the hardest or the second from hardest. So I improved, but I can't do the drums. Yeah, I joined Activision because at the time I lived in New York, and Vicarious Visions was doing the Wii version of Guitar Hero, and I thought, well, it's a big studio. They're right here. You know, I should try to apply and get to see what they do on a big project. And I got to see what they do on a big project, for better or worse. And then when the game shipped, they basically just fired all of us. They laid off like the whole department basically. They're just like, oh hey, you know what? We'll totally hire you back, but first we've got to like, you know, reset everything. They never called you back. They didn't hire anybody back. So that was my firsthand experience of how AAA development is a nightmare, and it's terrible, and they treat you like basically farm animals. They don't care about you. They don't care what you do. They will just get rid of you on a whim, and it's the same thing now where they do the layoffs and they're like, oh, hey, look, we cut all our costs. We cut costs. We got rid of people. We trimmed down our budget, and we made all this money, you know, to make themselves look good on paper. And that was kind of it, you know. And so I knew some people who survived the layoffs, but eventually they all just got fired. Well, laid off. It's not really being fired, but their jobs ceased to exist, and they got laid off one by one. So by the time like 3 years since I started, I think everybody that worked there that I knew was laid off, and a lot of them were like they'd been there for a long time, you know, or they did a lot for that company. You know, for me, it was just like my first job there, and then they just got rid of like a whole like department of us. But other people had been there for like 5, 8 years. And, you know, so then, you know, you add a couple. So that's like, what, 9 or 10? Between 8 and 10 years of being there. And they're just like, nah, get out. Yeah. Yeah, big corporation treats you like a robot. Yeah, absolutely. That's how it was. And yeah, it was awful. So that basically broke my I don't know how to put it. You kind of think of it, you're like, oh, you know, I get to work in the game industry, I get to work at the big company, and it's all that, and you kind of romanticize that thing, but that experience changed that real quick. I do not romanticize big publishers and big development studios anymore. That was my last AAA job, because I will never take another one. Pretty much, I learned my lesson, and they're not going to get me in there again. And that was it. So I kind of quit the games industry after that. It was a pretty awful experience. And then so I tried to do some stuff on my own, and you know, I've been a part of a couple indie projects, but and doing the fan game stuff, but that's it. Like I do not see myself ever going back to work for another big studio like that. It was awful, the whole thing. Yeah, well, the one it was actually kind of worth it though. Because I got to meet Satoru Iwata, believe it or not. Because Guitar Hero sold a shit ton on the Wii. Like, it was like super, super big seller. And I didn't know this at the time, but at least around that time frame, Iwata would go and visit studios that had really good sales on stuff for Nintendo consoles. So he actually came, because when we shipped Guitar Hero World Tour, he basically, it was kind of like a, hey, congratulations on finishing another game. And he came and he gave a little speech, and we got to meet him, and it was really super cool. And I really cherished that part of it. To be honest, it was really worth it, going through that to have that sort of like payoff. And then we immediately got laid off next week, so you know, it comes and goes, right? But it was really funny because there was kind of like hush hush, like you can't talk about it, you can't tell anybody that he's gonna be here. You know, like this is an unscheduled. You know, the public doesn't know that he's coming and stuff like that. And I was really cool to be a part of that. So that part was definitely worth it. Yeah, I definitely prefer to be on small teams. Yeah, that's us for sure. I've been promoted to customer. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they didn't even give me a free copy of the game now that I think about it. Maybe that was on me. Maybe I could have requested it. I don't remember. It's been a long time. That was in like 2009? I think 2008 to 2009, somewhere there. So it's been a long time. But I didn't get a copy of the game or anything. But at that point, man, I guess after you've worked on it and you played it so much, you don't want a copy of the game. That's fine. You can keep it. I've been playing it for months. Yeah, so, yeah, that's why I do fan games and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't mind to do a commercial project. I mean, we started one just before Unity decided to gut all their developers and kind of just screw everyone over. And I would like to work back to getting to a spot where we can begin development on that. That was that mansion game with the Haunted Mansion and kind of sort of Metroidvania, sort of not really, but it kind of was. Yeah, we were just really starting to go hard on that and be like, okay, we can actually like start this for real. And then like a month later, Unity is like, oh yeah, by the way, we're just going to like screw everybody over. So I had to start all the way back from nothing again in Unreal Engine. And then, so this project kind of forces me to go through all the steps to make a platforming engine, so to speak, an engine in an engine, if you want to call it that. And that's kind of the idea. I'll have to go through everything. I'll have to do the animation. I'll have to make sprites work. I'll have to make layering work and controllers and music and sound and all that. Excuse me. And then when I have all that, I can just be like, okay, we have all the pieces to actually make a real damn game now, a commercial game, and then we can do that. So this is kind of like my practice project to get me into Unreal and to force me to go through and build all those systems, so then I can turn around and say, okay, now we can actually do like a commercial game. That would be great. Or if I don't feel like doing that anymore, which I don't foresee being the case, but it can be used for another fan game then, whatever, you know. It's kind of that snowball effect. I build all the stuff here, so now the next project has this nice, ready to go bunch of systems. We can just dig right in. We don't have to worry about reprogramming everything from scratch again. As long as Unreal Engine is still here and not screwing everybody over, we'll be fine. Even GameStop employees could at least rent whatever games they wanted. Yeah, that's kind of that's pretty funny, actually. That the GameStop employees had more discount and ability to get the game than I did working on it. That's very funny, but true. Do you prefer to be solo, or do you like having or do you have like a dream company that you so desire to be with? I don't think that there's any company right now that I would want to be a part of. I think I would rather be the company and hire other people to work on stuff with me. I would rather go that route. And instead of like, because even you can say like, I'm a big fan of Capcom games, obviously, but would I be able to fit into that AAA culture at Capcom? I don't think I'd enjoy that. I kind of like being able to say, I am the director on this game. I think this is going to be really good, and I don't want some corpo coming down on me and being like, yeah, but could you add 5,000 microtransactions to this? And then, you know, that would be the point, would be like, yeah, I don't think I belong here. I think I'm going to quit and do my own thing. So I don't think that I would fit in at other companies, big ones at least. Like obviously I worked on the Immortal prototype, and that's with Mishura Games, and they're really nice, but they're a small indie company. You know, they got like 10 people at most, and like that was fine. That was nice to work in, because you kind of, you know, everybody, and they're pretty relaxed, and they've been burned by the AAA monster, so they don't want to repeat that kind of thing, and they treat everybody good and fair, and that's fine. But I guess ultimately I'd rather be the studio in that case, and then kind of just do things my way. Getting money is the problem. It's very hard to get money right now for projects to begin with, and I feel like a lot of people with money don't like people like me, if you catch my drift. I don't think a lot of people with money want to hear something like, I want to make a really good game and not be a dick to players and not put gambling shit in my game and all that stuff. Because then they're like, yeah, but gambling shit makes money. You have to put the gambling shit in or we're not giving you money, you know, that kind of stuff. Let's see. Did they come to you at the last minute to change some things before the final release? For which project? Guitar Hero? I guess I don't know. If you could, I guess, be a little more specific with your question. I don't know what you mean. In the meantime, I think this is done. Oh, there is one thing we forgot. Oh, I'm in the wrong part of the file. Public view function. Hey, get loop point. It knew automatically what I wanted to do. How about that? The AI is growing. Oh, and Guitar Hero? There weren't too many last minute things. I mean, we had a big crunch period. For sure, at the end, which was really bad. But I don't remember them needing much change. It was more just we had a lot of really weird bugs that we had to fix. And so we had to keep testing and trying to figure it out. It was really funny because there was this one guy, because they had the singing portions with the microphone. That was new. And they had the bug only happened with this guy's voice. He was the only one in the entire test department that had the voice that caused the game to crash. It was crazy. They spent like 3 weeks trying to fix it. I think it was one specific song, and only when he sung it, it would crash. And they had to spend like 3 weeks to fix that. That was crazy. That was crazy. And I think it was Spiderwebs. Was that the name of the song in that game? I think it was called Spiderwebs. Was the fucking song that kept crashing. That was crazy. And the poor dude, day after day, had to keep going in and causing the crash, and they had to bring the debug unit in and like have him do it on that. Oh, that was a mess. That was a mess. I felt so bad for him. That was bad. That was really crazy. I haven't really had too much problems with other projects I work on. Well, I did a couple mobile games, and those, they didn't sell at all, but the projects themselves went pretty alright. The machine was overwhelmed by his performance. Yeah. The guy had a digital version of the brown noise. Well, it's funny because, like, he just sounded like an average guy, right? It was weird. We don't know what it was. I mean, they were fixing that, doing their own thing. I don't know the technical reason as to why it happened. They eventually fixed it. but I don't know why it actually caused the glitch. But there was nothing like noteworthy about it. It wasn't, he didn't have a particularly high pitch or low pitch voice. It was just kind of like, for whatever reason, it didn't like him. It was really funny though. I felt real bad for him, but it was very hilarious. I can't lie. I think we're done with these. I think these are okay. Let me make sure that this actually works. And we'll, oh, compile failed. All right, hold on. I'll just close the editor. Machine got its sensitive spots. Yeah, I really don't know. Now that I talk about it again, I'm actually really curious as to what exactly happened. Okay, found an include after generation. Oh, because I was typing to find sound base. And I forgot to backspace on it. Okay. That's all it was. That's all right. You can still see the error messages on compile from the editor, but you gotta go into like the log and manually look at it. I like it when they color code it. Well, I guess it's not color coded now because there's no errors. But then you can like click the link and it takes you right to the thing, and I don't think you can do that while the editor is actually active. So a lot of times if I run into a compile error, I just close the editor and then relaunch it. What time is it now? 10:19? We're doing all right. Yeah. I'm really curious as to what caused that bug now. But man. Oh, and some of the programmers had to basically sleep there. I will say that, you know, for being in a position of being extremely overworked in a crunch period, it was kind of nice getting dinner. They would order dinner every time we had to stay late. And then I got put on the night shift, so I was always staying late, you know, like business hour wise. And they usually had dinner for us, which was nice. I mean, they should if they're keeping us there and we can't leave, right? So it's not like a bonus or anything. It's like they kind of really should be doing that regardless. But it was kind of nice, like not having to worry about like making dinner and shit. Because then you just go get it and then you just go back to work. But it was really funny because when we had to stay extra late, you knew when the producer starts walking around the office with the Red Bull cart and just without you don't ask, he just comes over and starts giving you like Red Bull and some like chips and shit, and you're like, yeah, we're staying late tonight. They don't tell you, you just have to know. You knew when you saw that fucking Red Bull cart, like, yep, we're staying late tonight. It was actually pretty evil the way that they just expected you to just know that they wouldn't even tell you that you're staying. They would just start passing out snacks, and that's how you knew. Like, they didn't even respect you enough to come tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, we're staying late tonight. Of course, it turned into like an everyday thing anyway. So like he just expected it every day anyway. It was awful. It was a fucking Red Bull car. I hate Red Bull too, so I never really drank it. So it didn't mean much to me. Well, I think we had a coffee machine or something. I don't know. I was younger then. I could stay up later, I guess. But yeah, the fucking Red Bull cart. Oh, I remember that. That was terrible. Yeah, we basically got on the 7-day-a-week schedule for a few months. And it was extra bad because I was night shift Monday to Saturday. And then Sunday, we had to come in, but there was only one shift on Sunday, the morning shift. So I had to do Monday to Saturday night shift, immediately come in the next morning on Sunday for the morning shift, and then back on Monday's night shift. That was rough. And we just did that for like months. That was rough. That was really rough. Yeah, it was kind of one of those situations of like, Saturday is now mandatory. Sunday is now mandatory if you want to keep your job. Technically, we can't force you to come in on Saturday or Sunday, but you're gonna disappear if you don't come in on Sunday. It's one of those kind of things. Which was really funny because at the end they just got rid of all of us anyway. So it was, you know, I guess it didn't matter. I should have took my Sundays off. But at the time I was just like, well, whatever. We're just doing whatever, and I stuck with it the whole time. I'm not going to glorify that and say that it was a good thing, but it is what I chose to do. So, what we do? Oh yeah, we can make the music file now. So, miscellaneous, yeah, miscellaneous data asset, and then music. Typing music, if I can spell it correctly. Music config, sound base, that's exactly what we expect to see. So MC for music config, I guess. Or MUS for music? Sure. That'll work. Mercury. Okay, and then here we can pick our meta sound instance of the Mercury thing. And then 7.2 was our whip point, and it's okay that this shows. It's a read only, but it's okay if that shows, and then we can at least verify that it is the correct thing there. I guess you've seen Red Bull carts every time it passes you. I guess I don't understand quite what that is. It's like an alarm. It's kind of screwed up the bedtime schedule. Oh yeah, going from night shift to morning to night shift in 3 days is pretty bad. Mark comes to work, red eyes like a stop sign. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I look pretty ragged for a long time. I wasn't checking the mirror, I guess, so I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't good. It was something else. Let's just call this stage music, and it is now a music base, music configuration base. I don't know why we're back on this window. Did we get an exception or something? I guess not. And then we will compile to get our default here. And there's our music Mercury. And I'm basically gonna just change this so that we pull the right data out of it. I don't know how to pass in the parameters, but we'll just kind of like pseudo do it for now. So we want to check if it's a valid reference, and if it is, then we can. Oh yeah, we got to get sound base. Oh, you know why? It is not a sound base version of that asset, so come come on. I hate this. It gets stuck on something and then he can't move stuff there. So I have to get config type and then do a switch off of this. I would normally do this in like C++, but we're just kind of prototyping here for now. So if it's unspecified, then we're gonna do nothing. If it's a sound base, I'll get out of here. I don't know why it does that when I bring up the menu like that. It's been doing that for the last couple months. Oh yeah, that sounds like fun. Yeah, it was interesting to be part of something like that for sure. Like there was, I won't say that I didn't enjoy parts of it. I don't think anybody should put themselves in harm's way like that, even for something like a video game, as exciting as that is. But at the same time, I won't say that it wasn't interesting. And I got to see Iwata. I got to meet Satoru Iwata, which, you know, given current circumstances is no longer possible. So I'm glad that I was able to do it while I could. And I will always cherish that moment, no matter how many damn Saturday to Sunday to Monday transitions I had to do. But I won't. But I want to be careful and say, like, it's not a reason to encourage people to potentially to hurt their health for that kind of stuff. But at least to me, it was worth it. So I guess I'm conflicted on that. It was 100% worth it to me, but I want to not necessarily encourage people to put themselves in that kind of danger, because you could get into some of those real health problems like that. But yeah, about the making a game and having someone to make the music. Hey, I'm down for it. Well, at least for this project, we don't have any need for additional music. Maxie's got it all covered, so at least for now, we're all good. We're gonna definitely need pixel artists eventually. I haven't really put a call out for it yet because it's kind of like been in a weird lull period since I got the spine problem and all that, and I'm still recovering. So I'm like kind of not back yet full time or full force. So it's kind of like a chill period where we're not doing too much on all fronts at the moment. So I've not really felt pressured to put a call out for pixel artists. It's definitely gonna have to happen though at some point, because we won't have enough people to power through it all when it happens. Let's see, cast to music sound bass. Yeah, this one. So we're gonna cast to here if it is a sound bass one. And then if it succeeds, then now we can get sound bass and put that in here. And that's kind of as far as we can go with it. I don't really know how to put parameters in and out on this yet here. Oh, here, open it up. So eventually I do want to find out how to like set these variables. So right now we're just going to hard code it. But, you know, if it can become a template, that would be really good. With Maxie on board, yeah, he got you covered. Yeah, he does. He's really quick when he turns them out, and they're so good too. So it's like, he's definitely pro, for sure. Yeah, you know, I had to learn programming because I realized no one was going to do it for me. And I won't say that I'm like a complete noob at it, but there are some things that some people would probably look at it and be like, what the hell is he doing? Come on. I want to move it down. Oh, I hate this. In the last few editor versions, sometimes it gets caught up like it's focused on a node. Yeah, like see how that was lit up And then you got to get it to unfocus, and then you can start moving things around in groups. It's a pain in the butt, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I definitely get kind of tunnel vision with programming, and what I mean by that is like, I will research and learn what I need to get the current thing that I'm working on done, where I think most programmers would be a little more comprehensive with what they learn. They'll be like, oh, well, I'm going to learn the entire subsystem that I'm working with, and then I'll just be like, oh, okay, we figured out how to like get the music to loop, and that's it, right? All right, now we can continue. And then I think that kind of is what separates me from other like real programmers, is that kind of attitude. Because like AJ helps me with stuff, and just like the way that he approaches things, like he just knows all about a particular part of it, or he'll like really deep dive and figure out what this entire thing that we're working with is, not just how to like fix one thing. And I think that benefits him a lot, but I just don't do that. It's awful, but I just don't do it. I think I've got a fair bit of experience, which kind of helps make up for that in some cases, but I think you get like a real programmer in there to do stuff, and they'll outperform me like any day of the week. So I feel like I learned programming because I had to, not because it was my first choice. We want to put it that way. But I don't think I'm terrible at it. I just think there's a lot of people that are just way better at it. And granted that they do that probably for a living every day, and that's not what I do, so I guess I have that advantage, but I still like to say maybe I'm intermediate. Yeah. I think it's good. It's good to plan first before you start typing anything. Or when I'm typing, I'm usually like drafting. I'm like doing a rough draft basically before I start doing other stuff like this here. This is basically a rough draft. I'm just trying to figure out what am I going to need to make this work. And then eventually I'm going to erase all this and then reprogram it all. And C++ is like a subsystem or something. But this helps me plan and figure out, okay, what are the steps that I need to take in order to make this actually load the data correctly? You know, and it's better to do it here in Blueprints where it's a little easier to throw it together and to edit and to rapidly iterate on it. And then use that to just kind of plan out what you're going to really program, you know, in the next week or whatever. So that's how I approach it, at least. Most of the times I start with Blueprint first, because it's a little easier. Because if you got, you know, like here's my object for stage music, and you know, I didn't put anything into categories, so it's probably under default. Yeah, it's under default, I think. No, maybe not. I don't know. I should have put it in a category, but I didn't because I'm dumb. Does it just make a category for the object name then? I don't see it. Let's see. No, it's not typing. No! No! God, go back. Get config type. We know that's one that exists. Oh, it's just under call function. So, but either way, if you do categories properly, like it's much easier to see what can you actually do with this object. You know, you get some kind of like context clues of what's even possible by just dragging off the pin and seeing what you can do with it. And I find it easier to prototype stuff that way. And then, you know, it's kind of flexible and a little easier to kind of get it going quick. And then just use that as my rough draft. yeah, that's all we need for that. Let's make sure this works before we go to the next step. And the next step will be making another data object that holds multiple instances. Yeah, we know. Okay, so it's probably going to be off first because we set that one thing to not play in editor. So if we allow BGM on the editor override. Oh yeah, there it is. Here, hold on. We're just hearing everything at once. But yeah, you can hear it now. Okay, that's good. All right. There. Bring the music back. So we'll leave that on for now. So step one is complete. We have a data container that can hold some additional information about our music. And we're using that here. We've set it a variable with that data container, and it's getting loaded and all that stuff. So that's good. So the next thing we want to do is to make another data container that says, okay, here's the track for our original soundtrack, and here's the track for the Game Boy soundtrack. And then be able to switch between those. So I wonder if it should be a data table. Then you could use a name to get the right one? Maybe? Because I'm trying to think like, okay, I'm only planning to have two options, but it's never a good idea to limit yourself and say, well, we're only going to have two different ones. So we're going to make it like a Boolean that can only do yes or no, you know, original or Game Boy. But that's not a good way to look at a system like that, because what if, I'm not saying we're doing this, but what if somebody's like, I don't know, I made like a Sega Genesis version of it, like a Wily Wars version of the soundtrack, and we want to put that in, or whatever. It could be anything. You know, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, the system literally specifically is hard-coded to only have two options. So now how do we change that? It's going to be a pain, real pain in the butt to go back and change that. Or I could use this system again for another project that maybe has 3 or 4 different options. So we want to think ahead of time, right? Say, okay, let's expect that, you know, in the future we might need more than 2. So what's the best way we can do essentially unlimited options? And I'm trying to think of what would be the best way to do that. You could number them. You could make an integer. Soundtrack 0, soundtrack 1, soundtrack 3, soundtrack 4, or whatever. But I feel like that's kind of, at some point it'll be hard to, as a human, to look at that data and then potentially know what that means. Or let's say I talk to Tim and I'm like, Tim, can you open up Unreal and set, you know, this track over here in this table for me? And he'll look in there and be like, I don't know what the hell soundtrack 0 or 1 means. Like, what does this mean? It doesn't mean anything to me. So this is where you might want to use an F name. So there's F string, F text, F name. Those are like your text formats. And F name is usually used for identifiers like that. So could you say soundtrack 1 is just called original or OST, and then when you go into that data table and you make an entry with the name OST, that's soundtrack 1. And then if you make another entry with the name GB for Game Boy, then that's the Game Boy soundtrack. And then in every data table that you need to add these in, you add the name of the soundtrack you're doing. The only problem with that is if the name ever changes, you have to go back and change all the names. But I think it'd be pretty easy to pick good names right from the onset. You could call one original and the other one GB for Game Boy, or OST for original, because that stands for original soundtrack. Something like that. I don't think you'd have too much confusion with those names. So the more I think about it, the more I think the data table makes a lot of sense. So that's a standard Unreal feature. Is that under miscellaneous as well? Data table. Oh, but I gotta make a row structure for this. Okay, let's see. How did I do this last time? Because you have to make a struct for this. I think I did one for animated tiles, so where is here? Let's take a look at what I did for animated tiles. Is it? Oh yeah, Paper 2D Plus. Paper, flipbook, animated tile, instance group, data row table, here. Okay, we just had to make it a blueprint type, and that's it, and then it's just... Oh, you have to inherit from table row base. Okay. Right, is that an epic? Yeah, this is an epic internal game thing. Okay. That should be okay. We can do that. So let's go back up here. We'll keep this open to reference it. Now we need to think of like what the hell to call it. Okay, these ones are only going to be used, so we'll just make it as a U object and we'll just change it after the fact. So we can just get the automatic default file going. What should we call it? What's this one called? F table row. Okay, so we'll want to base it off of that. Soundtrack. List. Table row? Or just soundtrack table row? I guess soundtrack table row makes sense. I know you're not going to do this as a feature or what have you, but can button layout for different consoles be a pain, as well as changing style of the music for each system? You mean like detecting that you have a PlayStation controller plugged in and then using the button icons for that? They'll change depending on what controller you have? Is that what you mean? I would like to do that. It's probably a huge pain in the ass. I would like to do it. I won't promise that I can get it working, but if it's easy enough to do and I can figure it out, I really would like to make that happen. I guess soundtrack track. I know this sounds goofy, but it's not a soundtrack table, like a listing of all the soundtracks in the game, but it's a soundtrack track table row. So a listing of multiple tracks for one instance of a track, if that makes sense. So I think soundtrack track table row makes sense. As goofy as it sounds, but a lot of programming names are goofy. Yeah, that's what you're talking about? Yeah, like each person tells you what button to push? Yeah. I would love to do that. If I can get it working, I absolutely will. But I can't promise that it's something that'll actually work out. Because I don't want to say something and then, like, it just... You know, I get to it and be like, oh shit. Like, that's just not... This is not gonna happen. Okay, use struct. And it has to be blueprint type. Okay, and then we'll make a nice, easy to use display name. So soundtrack track table row. And now I think we just make a bunch of U properties, right? Yeah, and then edit defaults only. Yeah, blueprint read only and edit defaults only. That's what we want. And we do want the tsoft object pointer, I believe. So tsoft object pointer. Gonna have to include music configs. Yeah, just music config. So use sky high music config. Yeah. No pointer. And the name field will be inherent in the data table, so we don't have to add that as an explicit one. That's kind of it. You really just have one thing. Could also use the 4 dots method. Oh, yeah, like, I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about. So if you have, like, the icons, right? I don't know, I guess black. Black's a good color. Yeah, you got, like, on screen on your UI, you have something like this, right? And then you don't necessarily have to say what the thing is, but you're like, press this button. The button over here, or the button over here. Here's shooting, here's jumping. Press those ones to do that. Yeah, those are, I like those a lot. Because then you know, oh, it's the bottom one. But it doesn't matter if it's A or B or cross or whatever it happens to be. You know, the bottom one's the one you gotta press. Yeah, I like those. I do really like those. Because I will curse Microsoft to the day I die for this, but... Here. All right. Look at this. A on the bottom, right? Nintendo has predated Microsoft for like 1 billion years. A is on the right. When that prompt comes up and they're like, press A, I don't know which one to press. My brain just locks up. It doesn't know which one to press. Even if I know I'm using the Nintendo controller most of the time, I will still hit B on the bottom like half the time because it's just, I hate it. It's the same things, A, B, X, Y, they're just flipped. And now I'll never know which one to press until the day I'm gone. I hate it. I'll never forgive them. Yeah, I know the Dreamcast did it too, but the Dreamcast died and went to hell for its sins. But the Xbox is still here, and they're still making these goddamn controllers with the reverse symbols on them. So I would just blame Microsoft instead of Sega. But yeah, it is true that the Xbox did base it off the Dreamcast design. There was some kind of collaboration going on there. In fact, I think they were going to make the Xbox backwards compatible with the Dreamcast at some point, and then it just didn't happen. But that would have been interesting. I might have actually got one if that was the case. See, with PlayStation, it's fine because they're completely different. The PlayStation icons are so different, like triangle and square and whatever. I have an easy time remembering the difference between that and ABXY. But if you're just going to use the same ABXY and change the location, that's it. My brain just, whoop, can't do it. A is where? It's one of these two, and then the QT is over and I'm dead. Yeah, the Genesis controllers were perfectly fine for the same reason. Because it was just like, they had ABC, XYZ, like it just kind of made sense. It was a 6-button layout or a 3-button if you didn't have the 6-button. It was a different physical layout, so you're not confused. But the Xbox 4-face buttons, it's the same configuration as the Nintendo 4-face buttons with the same damn labels, and it's not good. For an intuitive design, it is an absolute failure. And it just retroactively ruined me ever knowing what button is which anymore. It's awful. So I will never forgive them. I just can't. Did we compile? We did not compile yet. Ignore these errors. I don't know why this thing goes crazy. I've got one or two objects in the scene that have like a freak out session whenever I do a hot reload off a compile, and I haven't figured it out yet. So we're just gonna brute force through it. All right, now we can make our data table with our soundtrack. Well, we could, but it's not there. Why isn't it not there? I'm probably just gonna close the editor and recompile because 9 times out of 10, that's the problem. Well, let's just look really quick. So the animated one, it's a ustruct, struct. It's got the API tag. F. Oh, I never put the sky high in here. Well, whatever. I'll fix that later. F sky high, blah, blah, blah. Public table row base. Public table row. Okay, it should be fine. I'm just going to close the editor and restart. 9 times out of 10, that's usually the problem. Especially if you make a new type or edit like the name of a property, it's better to just shut the editor down and bring it back up. Because when you confirm a thing on PlayStation or Xbox, it's a bottom button. Oh yeah, then you have Nintendo where you have to hit the right button or whatever. Yeah, you're like, well, hey, yeah, that gets me sometimes too. I'm not mad about that because it's like a whole different system thing, you know? The following modules are missing or built with different engines. I'm going to say yes, but it's probably going to fail and it's going to tell me to do it on my own. Yeah. So when this happens, for whatever reason, I have to do a rebuild, which takes some time, which is really annoying. It's probably only one of these things that's like really mad about this, but I don't know which one it is, so we'll just have to do the rebuild. That's fine, I can catch up on chat now. Japanese RPGs use confirm on the right button. Yeah, and if you get a Japanese PlayStation game, they're reversed. So the in English territories, cross, the X is the accept, and the O is cancel. The circle is cancel. But in Japan, those are like cultural symbols where circle means good and yes or okay, and then the X means wrong. So it's like correct and wrong. So for them, the circle button makes the most sense. That's the okay button. That symbol means okay to them, and the X means no, wrong, or back, or whatever. So in Japan, the accept button is on the right for PlayStation consoles and Japanese games. But if you play a Japanese game, like if you bypass the region lock and you play a Japanese game on an American console or a PAL console or whatever, their in-game buttons will be reversed. So they would be just like they would be on the Japanese console. So it can throw you off. I found that out really quick when the PSP did not have a region lock, and I just started importing games. So like I imported the Mega Man X remake. They got it like 6 months before it hit the States. But that will throw you. Yeah, all the menus you have to hit circle instead of X to accept something on a menu. It is a little bit to get used to. But I guess, yeah, on Xbox, the bottom button is the accept always. So A is the accept, which makes sense because they made it the green button, and B is the right button, but it's red. So, I mean, unless you're colorblind, I guess, then it probably doesn't make as much sense, but it's something at least. But I'll see in an Xbox game or a PC game, because they all use the Xbox buttons, it's like, press A to accept. And I'm like, oh yeah, Nintendo A, cool. I press the right button and it cancels. It's just not, it's not my, I'll never unlearn it. It's over. Okay, now, yes, there it is. Now there's the soundtrack. So, DT for data table, I don't know, MU for music, MUS music, Mercury. Okay, now, I guess it's fine. Data table details, there's the struct. Shipment client builds. I don't think we need to do anything here. So we can add a row, right? It's kind of annoying because it's all scrunched together here. So row name. The name is always a field that they add here because they want you to look things up through the name field. So original. And then here we can select the music Mercury. But now we're gonna have to get the Game Boy one, because then we'll want to make another one and call it GB. But then we don't have a file yet for the Game Boy one, so we need to make that. So I'm going to duplicate this one and just do _GB. Now we don't have the wave for it, right? So for now, no, I can't do that because there's no data there. I was gonna say maybe we just change the pitch on it or something, but there's no. I didn't build any fields for that into these data assets. Yeah, let me just take a look. I probably have one somewhere, right? I gotta have it somewhere here. Where would it be? Where would it be? M is for Mega Man. Mega Man, Mega Man, Mega Man. Mega Man 5. Where are we? Metal Slug, Mighty Number 9. ME, Mega Man, where are you? Am I blind? Where is it? Oh, there it is. I was too far. Yeah, okay. What is it? It's 11 o'clock? Yeah, that's why I'm tired. But we're gonna get this done anyway. It's only gonna take a few more minutes. And then for my own health, I'll have to go and rest. But let's see. Mega Man 5? I see 4. Mega Man 5 music rip. Okay. Good old Mercury. Alright, I need to put this in Mega Man The Rulers of Space, game, audio, music, and we're just gonna paste it in. I'm gonna rename it. Is it good? Okay. I'm gonna rename it Mercury GB. Oh, it's an MP3 though. Can I not use that? I think you're only supposed to use waves. Well, we're about to find out. We are about to find out, aren't we? Can we just drag that in? Will it like it? Or not? It didn't like that. It didn't go, did it? Uh-oh. Let's try again. Oop. Uh-oh. No, there it is. There it is. Soundwave. It figured it out. It figured it out. Okay. We're good. We're good. Can we preview it? Does it actually work? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, Mercury GB is going... I'm just gonna pick it. I don't know. It's not gonna look correctly, but we just want to see it actually work. So we got that. Oh shoot, I wanted that one. Oh, not that one. Yeah, the data table. Okay, so the Game Boy one, yeah, Mercury GB. And we'll save that. So original and GB. And now what we need to do is to create a variable that can be used to identify which soundtrack we're using. I do not think I have created a shared name yet. So, in lieu of that, we're just going to make it a field in the editor here, or the level file. Soundtrack name, or just soundtrack, I guess. Make it a name. Make it something editable. Okay, and now we can just kind of hard code in here, original. And, oh, we need the data table. Yeah. Stage music track. So, data table. Oh, we need a data table row instance or something like that. Data row? Data table row handle. Here we are. Is that what we want? Maybe? No, I don't think this is quite what we want. because it's going to ask us to select. Well, it'll ask us to select this, but to actually give like a default row that we want. So I don't think that's what we want. I think we just want the data table itself, but I'm not 100% sure if we can extract what we need out of this. I'm not really sure. We're going to play around with this for a minute. Back when on the older PlayStation consoles, PS1 and 2 is where triangle button takes you back. Really? I don't remember that. When I played PS3 for the first time, I wondered why the triangle button was not working. So I messed around with the controller trying to figure out how to go back, because that's interesting. I kind of vaguely remember that now that you mention it. But I guess I didn't really think about it going away at some point. Let's see. Get row. Can we just get data row? Get data table row. Yeah. And in here, we want to connect our soundtrack variable, which is original. And then, yeah, here. And we'll get the row from here. Okay. And we have to do that before this. So now we're going to basically replace this with chosen track and recompile it, and then we're going to clear this. We don't want it to have a value. So we're going to put it in between here. Now that we have the data table, we're going to try to get the one that we're looking for. And if we found the row, I'll get out of here. So it doesn't know what it is? Wildcard, return data. I guess we have to know. I guess we have to know what we're looking for, right? And right. And then we're going to set this chosen track to this. No? What's this? Music config? Oh, it's a soft reference. So we have to get? Man, I forgot how these work now. How do we load from a soft reference? How does that work again? Is valid soft object reference load asset blocking. Resolves or loads a soft object reference immediately. This will cause hitches. And async load should be used if possible. Well, that's fine. I guess this is it. And then this is going to go here. What the heck is this? An object reference. But this is from a music config base. This should be music config base. It is. Huh. Would you have to cast it? Doesn't make any sense. Why should you have to do that? What's this do? Resolves a soft reference and gets the class or object it is pointing to. The object isn't already loaded in memory. This will return none. I forgot how to do this. Resolve soft reference? Oh, that just does that. Okay. But I think if it wasn't already loaded, this will just return null. You see, it says If the object isn't already loaded in memory, this will return none or null. So it'll always return null because it's not in memory yet. Like, load? Async load? Yeah, but then you gotta wait, right? But that's fine when it's completed. Then it only gives you an object reference, which means you gotta cast it to get it to be that? That seems kind of weird and redundant, right? Hold on, we're going to Google. Good old Google, google.com. Unreal Engine load from a soft reference. What do we got? Yeah, you have to cast it? Really? Here, I'll show you what I found. Where's Asprite? Did I close Asprite? I closed Asprite. No, I didn't. Asprite's still here somewhere. There it is. This is what I found. Now this one's a class asset. But it's the same thing. You have to cast to the class you want and then use it. That's so dumb. Why would it have to do that? Why can't it just give you back the type that it's supposed to? Okay, whatever. I guess we'll do that. God, it's killing me. Okay, load blocking. This seems really dumb, but okay. Cast to music base. Whoa, what in the heck? Oh, that's the right button. If you, well, now it's not doing it anymore. I don't know why. I held down the right button. I was moving it up and down and it was going nuts. Okay, stop doing the thing where you won't let me do. Okay, what are you stuck on? What could you possibly, there it is. Get out of here. Hope they fix that. That's so annoying. Okay, all right, more damn nodes. Okay, we set that, and then if it is a valid reference, get the row from the data table. If it found the row, and soundtrack is on original, so it should get our nice remix track. Load the asset from the table row, cast it, and then save that reference to here. Oh, I can use one of my fancy nodes actually. Cast and set ref. And in here we select the music sound base. Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll know it to be valid at that point too, so we actually don't even need to do all of that stuff. We can set this to here. Yeah, I'll bypass this. So this sets the reference. Automatically. It casts the object to the class that we tell it. And then it'll tell us success or failed, and it will set this. If it fails, it sets this to null. And if it succeeds, it sets it to, you know, whatever the heck it was. And then that cuts out all those steps, and it's really nice. That's not something that comes with Unreal. I programmed that. Okay, so then, yeah, if it's a success, then we check out what it's supposed to be, and then cast it again to the music config to then get to the sound base, or get the sound base, send it to the sound player, and finally play the damn music track. I think that'll cover it. Okay, and this... What the hell now? Casted... Oh, a casted object is already a sound base? Oh, and so it is. It should be a music base. Yeah. Because we don't know if it's a sound base yet, because we haven't checked its type. And we don't know that it's even a music thing that we can check the type here. It's just an object. Random ass object. Then we transform it into the music base to then read the type, then to music sound base, because that's the type it is. And unspecified is basically an error. It should never be unspecified. Actually, I should make that invalid, but whatever. Yeah, then try to cast it to the type that it thinks it is. And if that succeeds, then you load the sound base and we go. Okay, I think all that works. And right now it's hard coded to find the arranged soundtrack that Maxie's making. So let's stop the music player for the stream and see if this damn thing works. Yay! Okay, well at least that part works. Yay! Okay. Alright. Now, let's see. We changed soundtrack from original to GB. Now let's see if it pulls in the Game Boy one. Which will not whoop properly, most likely, but it's fine. Hey! It worked! How about that? Yeah, I'll put the shitty Game Boy filter on. There we go. Perfect. Wait, what am I doing? I got a controller. I'm used to not using the controller because I keep using the keyboard because it's right there. There, how about that? Congratulations, it works. Thank you, me. I did a really great job, didn't I? Yes, thank you, me. I did great. There we go. Works like brand new, yeah. Yeah, this is what a brand new Game Boy back in the day looked like. It was really funny because the stream that we put the filter in, the stream viewers, like the ones that have never like had an original Game Boy, they're like, no way, there's no way that it's this bad. And I'm like, no, it really was. We just put up with it. They thought I was kidding. They're like, there's no way it can be that blurry. And I'm like, no, go look it up. I'm sure somebody's taken a video of it, and sure enough, they did. And they're like, holy shit, it really is that bad. I'm like, yeah, it was. It was really, really bad. Oh yeah, it didn't loop. It didn't loop because it's not set to do it properly. But hey, we got it selecting two different files though, so the specifics of it looping and whatnot, that's something we can always work out later. But yeah, it's working. It's working. Alright, reset it so it plays again. That was really funny though. There's no way it could be that shitty. Like, no, it really was. I'm not kidding. And sure enough, I wasn't kidding. But it's really funny because I did play the original recently on a Game Boy Pocket just to see, you know, how far off I was. But man, it really was that bad. Do I have it here or no? Yeah, right there. Original Game Boy Pocket. Still got it. And it still works. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, did you hear it? I don't think it was too loud. Let's see. Yeah, crank that volume. That old OG sound. Yeah. That's the shit. Plays like ass. Really authentic ass. Where's my mouse pointer? Oh, there it is. Oh, there we are. Don't let the sunlight hit it, then you're screwed. Yeah. But then you couldn't play it in the dark because there's no backlight. Yes, but I got the worm light. I don't think it's here. I think it's in the other room. I have the worm light though. And I was playing it in bed in the dark. Thing's getting all tangled up here. I was playing it in bed in the dark with the worm light. If you know what I'm talking about, you know the pain. But it worked. Yeah, I gotta get it to hit it just right. Yeah. I got the GBA SP, so I could play it on that, but the battery died and I don't know where the charger is. So, this is, of course, my wife's. With the Hello Kitty. So she loves Hello Kitty. And I don't know if that's Hamtaro. Is that Hamtaro too? I don't know. Yeah, she put stickers all over it, inside and out. That's kind of cool though. I wish I could customize my stuff like that. But I never really thought about it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, because the GBA SP's got its own internal battery, so I can't just like throw a bunch of like AAAs in it or whatever. I have to find that charge cord. It actually lasted pretty far on whatever it was charged in, because God knows how long it's been since that thing's been plugged in somewhere. But it worked. I just need to find a charger. I found like 3 3DS chargers, but I can't find one GBA SP because I have one and she has one. So like, I'm getting tangled up here in my own cords. So like, we have to have like at least 2 of them, and I can't find either of them. I don't know. I feel like there's a box missing of stuff that I had because there's like a lot of chargers and like power bricks that I can't seem to find anymore. So I don't know. I'll have to really like tear shit apart. We've had this stuff in storage so long after the flood that like I don't even know where the hell half the shit is anymore, you know? And it's bugging me. I want to space it out there. This just felt too close. But yeah, so original. And it should just work. Yay! I'll have to make like a shared FNAME value so that can be set at some point and just kind of works for the whole soundtrack everywhere and the whole system. Yeah. Well, I guess that's about all I'm gonna do today. It's already almost 11:30 and I started a little late, so it kind of makes sense that I stayed a little later. Oh no, errors! Just the platforming movement freaked out and couldn't find a surface there for a minute. So I didn't know what to do. So there we go. We can safely assume that I can add the entire Game Boy soundtrack into the game as a little bonus. So this shouldn't take that much effort to do. To be honest, to format all the files and get the loop points and stuff probably would take a single day if I just made that my mission for the whole day. Then again, with my hearing impairment, I don't know if I'll be able to identify the loops correctly. I don't know. Well, whatever. It won't be that big a deal. So I think we can safely say that'll be a thing. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I don't have a pause button on the keyboard controls. Almost 10:30. Oh yeah. So you're one time zone over. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it seems to work all right. I think data tables are the way to go here, for sure. It's a nice Unreal-centric built-in kind of thing, and you know, you can just get the data table by the name and that's it, and then you're all set. Again, all this will be kind of like automated into like a subsystem or something eventually, but for now, this works out. I think, I don't know, can I do like keyboard controls here or no? I guess not. Oh, wait, here it is. So if we press 1, can we set soundtrack to original and then load it? I can't use 1 actually. I've used 1 for a different thing. I don't know, 8 and 9, let's say. Yeah, and then 9. Press 9 and we'll give GB and then load, just like we did here. Will that work? Gotta find out. Okay. Oh no, they're playing at the same time! Oh, that did work. Yeah, what I'll do here is, yeah, I think we could fix it though. So I'm gonna make them come together here. Come on, let me move you. Make them come into one line here, and then we'll check if the, what's it called? Music sound player is a valid reference. Oh, it's up here. Yeah, get as a valid reference. If it's not valid, then we're just going to go ahead and play it. But if it is valid, then we need to stop. And then we can go play the other one. And make this a little cleaner here. Yeah, actually what I probably should do is do it like this. And then it goes back up that way. So we want to stop it if it's already playing. Yeah, there we go. Then we can switch between them in somewhat real time. And then back to the other one. Yeah, how about that? And I can test both of them at least. That'll do. And I think we'll end it on that. Let's see. I was just about to ask you, how do you loop the music even if the music even if some music fades out? You'd have to cut the file. So I just installed Audacity today. So you would have to take the original file and cut it into that shape. So we'd have to take, damn it. We'd have to pull it into Audacity. And ideally, we just want it to get it to one loop point, right? So let's see. Is it? Hold on. Go all the way back. If I had to guess, that little like right at the beginning, that is the loop starts here. If I had to guess, and that is, I have no idea. Milliseconds. Yeah, what's my milliseconds? Do I get, what does this mean? Oh, that's snapping to milliseconds. How do I see? Oh, right here? 0.852 seconds. Okay, so that's, let's write that down. 0.852 loop point. I'm assuming that that's the loop point, just having heard the song for 5 million years. Boom. Somewhere around here. This one? It's close. Damn it. Let's say, I hope I didn't lose that. Is it like right here? Might be. Okay, so this is kind of like the end. Like right here. Yeah. Again, hearing issues, so maybe it's not as precise as it could be. Let's say, can we get it like right at the beginning of this waveform? No, I guess I can only select really close to it. Okay. And then honestly, like the rest, you just delete it. Just delete the rest of it off the end here. Boop. And let's double check now that we know what that little waveform looked like, right? I don't know. It doesn't really look like that on the other end, does it? Or like we gotta be in the trench here? It doesn't really look like that on this end. Oh, maybe it does. Can I like get closer? Where's our thing here? Come on. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. I guess this is as close as we can get for now. It's probably not perfect, but 869. So where's 0.869? Okay, and then we can export audio. We want it as a wave. But we want to put it in here. Game, audio, music. Oh, because it was MP3 last time. That's why. We're saving it as a wave this time. And export. 51 minutes? Oh, no, something went wrong. Whoa! Okay, well, yeah, something really went wrong there. Can I just put it on my desktop then, and we'll get it from there? I mean, it doesn't like that I was saving it in a Google Drive, which is not a normal supported thing in Linux, unfortunately. Okay, I'll go to the desktop. There it is in the desktop. It's 8 megs. Okay, so now it's in here. No, we don't want to save that. So we got the original, but now we have the wave version. We're going to drag that into Unreal. Because there it is. It's probably not going to like that it's the same name. So I'm going to just call it loop version. And in it goes. And there it is. So we're going to duplicate this Mercury GB looped. We're going to change the music track to Mercury loop version, and the loop point we wrote down was not that. We're here. 0.869. Again, I don't know if this is exactly going to work out perfectly, but might work. Now, we just replace the music reference Mercury for the Mercury GB looped. Oh, and I'll save this data here, even though this is not actively being used right now, but it will be eventually, so we want to save that. And that should be everything. So, I don't know, maybe it'll work. I guess we'll just see if it loops here somewhere. Yeah, have a good one. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for sticking with me this long. I know it's getting late now. Alright, here it comes. Now you heard a gap. I didn't get the right time code. You heard the gap. But I'll fix it at some point. Or have someone with better ears figure out where that where exactly that loop point is. But you get the idea on how to do it, right? So you just gotta match it where it's starting to repeat. So we'll get it at one point. I'll probably, I don't know, because you can get a sound test in the game, I think. I might actually record it off the real Game Boy hardware too, just to make it like super authentic, if I can get it to do that. And I think there's a debug menu to get the sound test. It is really close though. But yeah, well, we'll get it at some point. But that's it for now. So it would. Oh, have you not been seeing? I had it on the wrong camera. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. You got the idea. But yeah, so that's it for now. We'll do more next Wednesday. So let's see. The 22nd. I don't think anything special going on the 22nd, so we'll be back on next Wednesday, starting hopefully at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I may do a test stream if I get the chance sometime in between to see if I can figure out if there is something wrong with Twitch, or maybe I have to like rehook it up or something, and then kind of go through that process to see if like there's something I set up wrong or something needs to change. And then I'll probably try to test out the scheduler for YouTube, so it'll say, oh, there's a stream tomorrow at 8 o'clock or whatever. Those like upcoming event things, because the service I use, Restream, can do that. I just haven't set it up to do that yet. So yeah, we'll try that out. And that's pretty much it. I do have, if you really, really, really love what I do have a Patreon. So that supports like my personal efforts in game development and the stream, because the streaming stuff is not free. I do have to pay for that to be able to stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. And like when equipment goes bad, which like I actually wasn't sure if the microphone was going to work today because it didn't work yesterday. That can help pay for replacement parts and stuff like that. Or if like, God forbid, something happened to the computer. So if that interests you, it's just Mark D. Wiz on Patreon. And then we have the Discord, which the link should be down below in the description. And I don't know. Everything else, the like and subscribe, the bell, the thumbs up, all that shit. You know the drill. You know what this is about. So I don't have to say I should remember all this and have it like something prepared for it, but I am too tired, so I cannot remember everything I'm supposed to say. So yeah. Anyway, so I guess I'll see you guys later. Have a good one. I'm gonna go rest because I'm really tired now. So I'll see you guys later.